So this is the control panel. It is quite a simple design. The box I didn't make. I had it lying around the shop, and I said, you know what? It's a stainless steel box for something else that never got used, and I decided this is a perfect time to use it. So these rivets you see here, we will see what they do in a moment when I turn the box around. They control the bus bars. So this is the main power to the lathe. This controls all the power for all the components. This is the motor on and off. This is forward and reverse. This is power speeds up and speeds down. Now this switch is wired into the motor directly, so I can only change the speed while the motor is running. This here is the light that tells me if I've exceeded or I am approaching. It comes on just before I approach by about 50 or 60 RPM, the mechanical limit of the transmission. So it's a very useful feature to have. The LED display is powered separately because it is on a 9-volt battery. Instead of putting a power transformer, you can see if I turn this around, this is a lock for swiveling the box. It has a 9-volt battery compartment, so I don't have to worry about having a separate transformer to wire in. I went the easy way and just did a little compartment on the side. So turning the lathe on, this is main power. This is motor. You can see its speed is holding within 2 or 3 RPM there. You can see her running. The sound you hear is the motor. The motor always runs at full speed. We do not adjust the speed of the motor. We only adjust the speed of the transmission. And you can see the magnetic pickup there. That is what's reading the speed on the LED panel. So to control the speed is right here. I'm going to, if you look at the chain on the motor below, you can see as I am winding it down, winding it down, winding it down, winding it up. That switch controls that little motor, and I can change the speed in the transmission that way. To verify that that's actually happening, I'm going to power it up, wind it up, and it's on a momentary switch, so it doesn't stay on. You just bump it and it comes back down. I'll bring it down, and let's bring it down a ways. We can see it's 200, 140. Let's get a little closer and we'll see. There it is. So as we approach, you can see the lathe is actually still running. It is still within the mechanical limits. We're at 22 RPM. Don't want to go too much further than that, even though we can hit 0. But that gives me the warning that I've approached the lower end mechanical limit. If I speed it up, I'm outside of the danger zone. And the same is true on the other end. We're not going to wind it up that far. It's not necessary. But that gives you an idea of how it works. Let's shut it off. That's just motor power, and you will see that it will not run unless that power is on the motor. That is a safety feature to prevent damaging the transmission. Main power off. Having 2 switches is quite handy. It allows me a moment between throwing this switch and throwing this switch. I will sometimes catch a potential issue, a potential problem. The amount of time that this allows me to think is invaluable. And if I had to do it all again, I would have put this switch on the other side. Having it a little further away would have given me that much more time. It has come in handy probably about 2 times. Nothing that would have been disastrous, but it did allow me a few extra moments to think before I threw the second switch, and it actually was beneficial. So if we turn this box around, the pivot, as you can see, it's not locked right now. Once it's locked, you cannot turn the box. So unlock this. It's very handy to set it at a certain angle. The controls, as you can see in the upper right, are the bus bars. I have there's a power coming from the main power switch to the bus bars. Top one is 110, second one is 110, the third one is neutral, and the fourth one is ground. All the wiring for the switches, including the forward and reverse, which was a little tricky. You can see the light, the micro switch for the LED panel itself, and the interior of that box that holds the 9-volt battery. All in all, the wiring was probably, as you can see, I need to make a cover plate. I still haven't gotten around to that. It's been a year. Let's we can't rush these things. Give it another year or so. I'll make a panel cover for that, and I'll have to put a hole in for the magnetic pickup. So you can see that's wired into that. Maybe I'll get around to it at some point, but hopefully I'll get around to it at some point. Well, that's the controls.